Hello and welcome! Here is another doll repainting video on my channel, and this doll was meant to be for Valentine's Day, but I didn't have enough time to finish her. So now with the quarantine, well, I had enough time to finish. So I used this Frankie. I'm going to turn her into a figurine since she's not articulated. I'm going to cut off all of the hair. And using a nail file, I'm going to remove the stitches as they're molded on this doll and not printed as they usually are. Cutting off those grooves she has on her neck. Then I'm going to warm up the head, remove it, and remove all the remaining hair from the inside using tweezers. Then I want to change the positioning of the hands, so I'm gonna sew off the hand, the palm from the one hand. I'm going to turn it around and make her look like she's blowing a kiss. And then the other one, I'm gonna remove it from the elbow so I can twist it on the other side, so it's looking backwards instead of front. I'm gonna make a hole on her foot with the shoe on, and this way I'm going to be able to put her on her stand. I'm just removing some pieces from the hand just so I can manipulate the shape. And what I did, I put a nail in there just to give it a little bit of a grip, make it more steady, and then I'm going to take super glue, find the position that I want for the doll, and I'm going to put it in the joints so I remove all articulation. Once I've done that, I'm just gonna set her on the side to dry up, and taking 100% pure acetone, I'm going to remove the factory paint. Made a hole on my base, and I'm using a wooden base. Basically, it's like a plate. I'm going to take epoxy sculpt and I'm going to fill in the holes of the articulation and also the gaps where I cut off the hands. And I smooth out everything using water and a tool to push the epoxy inside. I'm also going to fill in the front of her feet, so I create socks. I put a nail through the base and also some epoxy. Then I want to change her skin color. I usually do it with airbrush. My airbrush gave up, so I just did it with a paint and a brush. I'm going to move to the base and I want to make a heart on it. I use this stencil just to get the heart perfect. Now I'm going to put some super glue to fix the doll on the stand, and once it's dry, I'm going to push some epoxy sculpt in there because it's going to make it more secure. And I started painting her with white acrylic, and I didn't smooth her out perfectly, and it was showing. And this is about the time where I actually gave up on her. As you see, there's patches because I started filing her and making her better once I've had time. And here I'm just gluing tape because I'm going to create her socks. And I want the perfect line. I took some skin color paint and I'm going to start painting her. I did, I think, about 3 or 4 layers. Removing the tape. And I'm going to start painting the part that's left white to create my socks. And I think I did 3 layers of that. I also painted the shoes white and the heart on the base. And the rest of the base I'm going to paint red. I'm moving on to painting the socks, and I'm creating some tiny hearts like polka dots. Also painting the hearts on the shoes. And then I sprayed the body with Mr. Super Clear once I finished with the socks and started blushing it. Mr. Super Clear helps the pastel adhere to the plastic. So I took another Frankie doll, which was the same, and I sketched out and made a pattern for her body. And I chose this glittery white fabric. I cut it out and I'm going to stitch it on the doll basically, because there was no way for me to get it on otherwise, but it's okay because it's not going to show as we're stitching other things there, and we're going to hide it. Also, I made 2 straps, but I cut the front part straight because I'm going to make from the same fabric like a roughly front for the body. I don't know how to explain it exactly. I'm going to zigzag through my thread and pull it, and it's going to become roughly, and that's how it's going to look. I'm going to start stitching it on. And here comes the fun part. I took red ribbon, I measured it around her waist, and this was the hardest part that I was breaking my head trying to figure it out how to do it. And while I was on the train in England, the idea just came to me, hoop earrings. So I went to Primark and I got a bunch of them. I'm going to choose 3 sizes, pass them through her waist. I took the ribbon where I measured it on her waist. Then I took some thinner red ribbon and I hooped it through, and it should look something like this. I think I put 5 tinier ribbons. I secured it with glue, and now I'm going to glue it back onto her waist. I took the thicker ribbon and I glued it on the inside of the hoops. And then I'm going to start securing with glue again the thinner ribbons. This took a long time to finish. I think I spent about 2 hours on it. And then to cover it, I'm taking the thicker glue and gluing it again on the outside. And here it is. I'm going to cut off the excess. Then I took some lacy white fabric, and again I'm going to zigzag my needle through with some thread, make it roughly, and glue it on the socks to give them nice details. And I also put some red ribbon to hide the connection there. Taking again the white fabric, I'm going to make a skirt. But I'm not going to do it all the way around. It's like a half skirt, so it stays open in the front and we can see the crinoline. I'm not quite sure what that thing is called. Crinoline. Anyway, got a red fabric with some hearts on it. I cut it in 3 parts. I made a corset, and for some reason the footage is missing from that, and I made a skirt also on top. I'm going to start blushing her face, creating some shading, contouring, and bringing the face to life. Taking a brown pencil, I'm sketching out the eyes. One eye is going to be winking. And yeah, I did spray her with 3 layers of Mr. Super Clear. I let it dry for 24 hours before starting to work. So once I got all the details, I'm getting some red pencil and filling in the lips, and also applied the red eyeshadow. And this is my first layer. I'm adding all the details. Now I'm on my second layer, and I'm adding the blacks and giving definitions to the eyes, making everything more saturated. I'm also sketching out a heart with a light pink pencil, and this actually was inspired by the Valentine's Day makeup look that I did on myself. Also adding some tiny little hearts and some little dots. And moving on to the eye shading and also highlighting the iris. Adding my bottom lashes, and now I'm going to add some depth and definition to the lips. I'm using watercolor pencils and a little bit of brush to shade. So here she is. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I rerooted her with red hair. I'm adding some strass glue and some chunky glitter just to give it some sparkle. And I'm also going to add a little red rhinestone, some white iridescent glitter on the eyes where I have the white part. I added the catch lights using acrylic white paint, then glossing the lips and the eye. For some dramatic lashes, and I glued them again with the gem glue, and they're pretty secure with that. So I'm just gonna pop the head back on. Gave her a nice ribbon on the head with some hearts just to match the rest of the thing, and this is it. This is the final doll. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. I will leave my Instagram in the description box below.